Hey guys, sorry that light, until that sun goes past my window, there's nothing I can do about that. So hang on about 5 more minutes and that's gonna go away. So I'll try and do this for right now. How are you guys? And I've got you up there again, so I'm reading, and that's why I look down and ignore the mess over here. This is just life right now. This is crazy. How are you guys doing? How is everybody? Shayna, Kim, Bonnie, Anna, hey. How are you guys doing? So are we ready to make bibs? And yeah, we've got sleeping dog over here and quality controls behind the computer there. So, hey Mary Beth, again, ignore. I've got to clean this studio. It's nuts. Most of that over there is for my other shop, my fiber shop and my yarn shop. And it's actually better than it was, believe it or not. When I was doing the live shows, that was poof. So that's really organized compared to then, but I still have to figure out what I'm doing with all that. So I've got enough room in the studio. I've just got to really concentrate on maybe some storage ideas more than that. So, hey everybody, are you ready to learn how to make a bib? I'm still embroidering my sample. It's been one of those afternoons. I do dye yarn. Yes, that's my other shop, Morningside Road Fiber. So I dye yarn and fiber, and I spin, I card bats, all that stuff. So I've got a little bit of everything going on here. So that sun. I love the time change because it's light later, but it's not good with where my window's at in my studio for right now at this time of night. So anyway, is anybody sewing along with me tonight? Anybody? Raise your hand, say hi, say me. Hey, Ladybug Wishes. Happy Sunday. I know, my favorite time with you guys, Sunday evening. I look forward to this so much. Oh, good, Mary Beth, good to know. I'm gonna put that, I think, in my description, and so you'll get the link. But yeah, that's my other obsession. I've knit since I was 4 years old. That was kind of my heritage. So I remember my mom and my grandma knitting. So yeah. Hey Deb. All right, anybody gonna be sewing with me tonight, or are we all working on other stuff, watching and just learning tonight? Just let me know, because I like to know if I have to pace myself with somebody. Oh, good, Deb. Hey, you're my girl too. Hey, Lakeisha. But yeah, so cool. All right, Shayna, gotcha. Oh, awesome. Spotted Bear Knits. Now you're Bonnie, right? Is that what I saw up earlier? Oh, yeah, now's the time to get an update from Norton. Not. Okay, Deb, that's good to know. I'm almost done embroidering on my sample. Like I said, my afternoon, as always, my Sunday afternoons kind of spin out of control. Hey, Cindy. So let me go change my thread real quick. It's almost done, and I really wanted this embroidery piece to be done so that we could work on this with the bib. So I'll be right back. Hold, please. Single needle woes, girls. Single needle woes. So yeah, every time, you know how single needle is. Every time you need a new color, I got to go over there and change everything up. Someday, guys, someday. But for now, yeah. So how was everybody's day? Hey, Deb. Who else came in that I've missed Leslie. Hey, Leslie. Who else is on here that I've missed? I think I got everybody. If not, I'm sorry. Raise your hand if I missed you and we'll say hi. But yeah, those of you that came in late, we're ignoring this part tonight. We're ignoring all that mess. Nuts. Hey, Divya. All right, so tonight we're doing the how to make a bib, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to change it up. This is in tandem to the sew along that Amber did last week for the burp cloth. So we decided we would break this up so that you guys could have a set and you can learn a burp cloth with her and I'd teach the bib. And then you can do all the embroidery to match or however you want to do and make your own sets. They're cute, they're fun, they're cute, they're good sellers, they're good gifts, all that. Oh yes, Christy, you understand single needle woes. I've got to really babysit that, so you guys just got to have a little bit of patience with me while I do that, but it's almost done. And then I was doing so good, and yeah, of course, thread break, and then I have to go back because I forgot to back it up because I was in such a hurry. I totally forgot to back it up about 10 stitches to start right before the thread break. Those of you that have that know what I'm talking about because it doesn't sew real good right there. So you got to back up and cover it and then keep going. Yeah, okay. Hold, please. And of course, I'm at the part of the design where I have like lots of thread color changes because they only sew like little tiny bits. So, hey, Sandy. So anyway, that's what we're doing tonight. And I'll show you the before with the embroidery because I cut 2 out. So the one I do is very square, but I'll show you how you can make it a little more rounded if you want. And then the rounded one would match the burp cloth that Amber taught you guys last week. Or if you wanted to make a burp cloth that was a little more rectangular to go with this one, you can do that as well. So either way, you have choices with this, and it's super, super simple to do. So I will get you guys started with the pattern. So this is what my pattern looks like. And I just use any old, hey Pia, hey Angela. I just use any old cardboard. I am notorious for using cereal boxes, anything that's going to hit the trash that is big enough that is cardboard I will use. Old shipping boxes, you know, you get Amazon in all the time and you're going to throw the box out, use that, you know, use that to make your cardboard. This was an old priority mail box that I'd gotten. So I'm like, no, I'm just going to, before I throw it out, I'm going to use this. So these make great templates and they're super sturdy, as you can tell. So they last for quite a while, except for if you get on the corner. I've got a little flap going on here, but you know, okay. So always start with your squares and your rectangles first. And then if you want to go down and round things, I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So I'm going to give you the measurements real quick, and then you guys can write these down, or I'll go back and put them in notes. I wanted to wait until after we did this before I put them in notes because I wanted to explain it first. and then they'll be in the description notes down in my video after this. But yes, Sandy, hit that like button, please. 22 people, and I've only got 9 likes right now. So, oh, please. Okay, so I have, as you can see, 2 rectangles here. Hi, Evemar. Hey, Amber. Sarah. Hey, thanks, guys, for joining. So the dimensions that I've got right now are 4 3/4 across. So you make a rectangle 4 3/4 by 8 inches. So what I would do first is when you're starting with your piece of cardboard, go in and literally draw your rectangle that is 4 3/4 by 8, and then you're good to go. Now make sure you've got room above. So this is the 4 3/4 and this is the 8. So make sure you got room up here. You're going to put another rectangle up there, okay? So then from the top of this first rectangle, running along the side of one, you're going to go up another 7.5 inches. And then you're going to go over 2.5 inches. And then you're going to draw a line down from that point down to meet the top of that first rectangle. So you've got rectangle 1 and rectangle 2, okay? And this is going to be where you put your fold. So make sure you put an indication on your pattern, fold on this side. Make sure it's this side, not this side. This is your fold because that's running down the middle of the bib, and I'll show you. So when you cut it out, it's going to look like this. See? And then when you open it, there it is. So your fold is right here. Hold, please. Okay, so that's how you do the square one, okay? So you're asking, how do I go and make it if I want it rounded in certain areas? Okay, my last color change, I promise. And if nothing else to not drive you guys crazy, I have to get the multi-needle if we're going to keep doing this kind of stuff. This is nuts. Okay, so how do you go and get the curves on so that you know that they're right. Okay, it's really simple, guys. You can find anything that has a curve to it. I love to use like cans or glasses, but I've got like this can right here. So what you're gonna do, just a little forward here so I can turn it down just a little. Okay, so now you can see this. What I would do is you take this and you see how it fits perfectly around. So I put that so it touches this edge, the top edge, and this edge if it's the right size. If it's not the right size and does not fit in this rectangle part, then straddle it evenly. So this one's just a touch bigger, so it's no big deal. And so get the middle of it to touch the top, and then you just trace. Hold it down so it doesn't move while you're doing this, and you just trace. Okay, so you can see how that did that. And then there it is. What am I missing? Leslie, seriously, are you going to? Leslie, yes! Yay, that would be so much fun. Yes. Oh, that would be awesome. Okay, smart. Sorry, but those of you that missed Cindy's live last Tuesday, and I think all of you are on. Hey, Mary, I think everybody was on, so I don't think anybody missed. But you saw that Leslie, we kept telling her, why aren't you here? And she said she was going to come join us. Well, she just said she's going to join us Tuesday night. So if you missed our live last Tuesday, I was visiting Cindy, and it was so much fun. So much fun. You have to go rewatch that. It was a good evening, really good evening. So, okay, so anyway, this is how that comes out. And do that on all your edges. So on this, like every edge, you're going to do the same thing, but on these, you're just going to have the two that you're going to match up with. Can you see that? Instead of, since there's only two sides, this had three, and so I had to straddle it. This side only has two. So you just match up the two, pull it in until the two match so that your curve runs from edge to edge. Don't overstep it. Don't do this. Don't do that. See how you're missing that? You've got to have it in so you can see that triangle that you're taking out. Okay? So I'll draw it on here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So it ends up like that. And you do that on all these outside edges, and then on this inside, if you choose you want to do the inside, you can leave it boxed if you want, or you can choose to do an inside one. Then before you cut this out, you would have to do it, because I cut out part of the radius right here where it would come across like this. So decide ahead of time. You can do two. You know, you can do one square and one with rounded edges, and then just don't cut your rounded one out until you've got all your edges rounded. That's the easiest way. Hey, Nancy, glad you could join us. So that way you have two patterns out of one measurement, and you can even cut out your square, one that's all square, and go trace it again to get the one that to do your rounded if you don't want to try and measure it all out again. So that's how you get your easy bib pattern. Now, when you go to cut, then this part's easy to cut. Take a little time with these, okay? These get a little tricky. So this is terry cloth, and this is minky. You can use fleece also if you want. I forgot to put that in the. Hey, Liz. Hi, Mary. I love Moana. So, girl, you watch Moana in the background. I'm there with you. Oh, it's done. Hang on. All right, so this was done on my Janome. And yeah, I've got to trim all the jump stitches now, which there's not a whole lot, but there's enough. But let me cut this back off first so that you guys can see this a little better before I hold it up. But these bibs are so fun to make, let me tell you. And if you guys are just getting started and you want to test things out before you take the leap into making clothes and stuff, this is the easiest way, because you can screw up a bib all day long and it's no big deal. You didn't waste a whole lot of time. So, you know, you can practice on these. And then, you know, if you have somebody that's in the family and you screwed it up and they don't care, there you go. They got an extra bib, you know. So, but practice on these. Learn your embroidery, learn your sewing methods, because these are going to teach you a lot of things. When we get into this, you'll be learning a lot. So yeah, I've got to do my jump stitches yet, but there's that one. So, and then you can do something very similar on the burp cloth if you want, or you can leave just the burp cloth as a plain one and let the bib be the embroidered part. Frozen 2 all week. Yeah, and weekend. I get it, Mary. Yeah, it does get repetitive, but at least they're cute movies. At least I love watching all of those kids' movies. I don't have kids, and I love watching them. I'll be having those on sometimes in the background when I'm working and sewing, because it's just happy stuff, you know. There's no drama going on the screen or something. I'm sorry, I get enough drama every day in my life. I don't need drama on my weekends when I'm trying to relax. Oh, good, Deb. Yes, awesome. Glad to see that. Yeah, there's a few. Some people start early. Hey, Sierra. Glad to see you joining us. Hey. Hey, Nancy. Did I say hi to you, Nancy? I think I did. Yeah, I think I'm trying to catch all these names as I'm coming in. Oh, that's so fun to watch the kids. I know. And then Angela shows little Roman dancing to his when he's watching. That is so cute. And I love how they think they're dancing and all they're doing is this. And it's so sweet. So sweet. And then, you know, those moments when they're older, they're like, oh, I can't dance. And you're like, wait a minute, let me get that video of when you were 2. Yes, you can. Okay, anybody else now that's come on that's going to be sewing with me? Or are we all just watching tonight? Because I really, really don't want to leave somebody behind if they are sewing. So, and these are super easy, and it wouldn't take long for you to catch up, except for the embroidery part. That I wanted to have done ahead of time. But like I said, anytime I plan my Sunday to get something done ahead of time, it doesn't happen. So that's just the way it is, and it's all good. Cut my jump stitches here real quick. The nice other thing about these bibs is the back is covered up. So you can use up little pieces of your, I'm not trying to say your stabilizer. So if you have a bunch of pieces and you don't want to use a whole piece, put your pieces and hoop pieces together until you get it all covered, because it's going to be covered up by the backing. So nobody's going to know, and it'll be perfectly fine. Hey, Charlie, I'm so glad you finally caught a live. I know it's so hard sometimes to catch all these lives. It's, you know, we're just busy people, and I'm so glad. Yes, Texas. Where are you at, Charlie? What city? Oh, good, Mary. Those were so cute. So cute. Yeah, Mary, you've got to gauge your 6-year-old on the sewing, because my mom tried when I was about 6 and I wasn't ready. But at 8, I was a little more ready. Now your 6-year-old may be ready. It just depends upon the patience level. I had 0 patience when I was a kid. 0. Oh, you're in Dallas. Okay. Yeah, you're close to Cindy. I am down between San Antonio and Austin. So a couple hours south of you. They are so cute, Mary. Yes, they are. Oh, I just love looking at those. You do such a good job with them. They're beautiful. Oh man, I got to figure out this camera because I keep seeing myself looking here and you guys see me looking here because I'm trying to read comments and you're up here. So it's hard when I'm trying to keep you guys high enough so that you can look down on what I'm doing. Yeah, and you know, you just never know, Mary. She just may be not ready today and next week's a whole different story, you know? I do, Mary. I love your stuff. Your stuff is so pretty. You do such a good job. All of you guys do awesome jobs. You guys all amaze me. You know, you say, oh, I can't. And then I see everything you guys do. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't? That's amazing. You guys are all so talented. So don't even second guess yourself. You're doing wonderful. All right, so I'm going to assume nobody is sewing with me tonight. I have to switch over. I'm using my Janome as well to sew this. So I got to switch it real fast. So I'll be bringing that over here and I'll talk to you guys while I do that because I hate keep walking away from you guys and leaving you with a blank screen. I had to do that though with this to get this taken care of. And when it comes to the backing on these, I don't know that it really matters. Just whatever you're using for your set, just you know, be consistent. That's a no-brainer. You guys all know that. But whether you use minky or fleece or your terry cloth really doesn't matter. Now, terry cloth is fairly inexpensive to buy at the gold stores and at Joann's and all that, but it's kind of rough. When you go in, make sure you check it. Even when you wash it, it's kind of a lower grade. I don't know. I've not found a good one. So what I would do too is if you can do this, is if you can find a towel, and yeah, I'm making a peeker towel out of this. So anyway, I just grabbed this. But if you can make a towel, you can find towels for a good price, or you can hit a sale. You can use these too because they're big enough. These little smaller towels, or you can get a big towel, but it'll fit. You know, they'll fit. So you can easily do that. And I don't know if you can get 2 out of these just because of the way the pattern is. I don't believe you can get 2. Let me see here. No, you can't get 2 out of them, which is a bummer. So be aware that like these smaller hand towels, you'll only get 1 out of. So watch your pricing on that. If you can get it at a good price, you know, then it's probably the same as if you were just to buy a yard of the terry cloth and use that. So just kind of use that as a guide on how many you can get. But yeah, these hand towels are actually very nice and scrunchy, and squishy, and that's kind of what you want. You want something that feels really good. Oh, that's okay, Leslie. You can still always go back and follow along tonight, and then go back and get all your stuff together, and you can put me on pause like I've been putting you on hold. So. Oh, that's okay, Sarah. Oh, Sarah, snowed in. I'm so over snow. I've been snowed in more times in my life than I care to even think about. That's why I'm down here. Oh yeah, and then I get snowed in down here too. I just think that this weather stuff just follows me no matter where I go. I keep asking people, I said, how far south do I have to move to get away from snow and ice and cold and negative wind chills? And oh, Sarah, you're right in the middle of that track. It was kind of funny, offshoot for a second. One of our projects for my day job is in Colorado, and they were predicting earlier last week, and I don't know if it still stayed that prediction or not, because my project manager that is on my project is also, yeah, Key West sounds good. I'm right there with you, Christy. But my project manager's on mine has that project as well. And he was on the phone with the guys. 60 inches is what they were expecting out of the 2 or 3 storms that were supposed to come through in the last couple of days. 60. 5 feet. That it takes a lot to shut our job sites down. That'll do it. That'll shut us down. And so, yeah, I couldn't believe that. So I'm curious to see if it really came through. I hope that it backed off a little bit. But yeah, you just can't do outdoor anything in that kind of amount of snow because it's in your way no matter where you put it. You can only put it in so many places, because if you got 5 feet and you start piling, and those of you that are in the areas that get a lot of snow know what I'm talking about, you start piling drifts and they get so tall and you can only do, so much, and then all of a sudden you've got here and here and here and here and here, and they don't melt. They'll melt in like June if you don't move them around. Literally it'll take till June. So yeah, it can stay away. So yeah, I'm curious to see tomorrow what really came of it, if it really happened or not. Okay, so now, like I was saying, when you guys go to cut this stuff out of this minky and anything, just remember this stuff moves like crazy, especially this minky. Any of you that have cut minky know how bad it moves, and then you start doing some of these smaller cuts like that. Wow, it'll make you a little nuts. I mean, no matter how hard I tried, it's still just a little wonky right here. So just be aware, you're going to take a healthy seam with these because of that, no matter what you do. So when we've got them like this, you're going to take your 2 pieces that you've already got cut out. So remember, you're cutting on a fold, and if you cut your fabric, you lay your fabric like so. You've got one piece on top of the other. I'm just going to use these as an example. So you've got one piece, and then you've got your other piece, and how you normally will lay your fabric out. And so you've got these 2 fronts, or the 2 non-fronts, showing. And then you fold it over like this, and then you cut it out. You're going to get 2. Okay, so just be aware, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just be aware, if you're only going for 1 and you do that, you're going to get 2. And that's actually the quicker way. If you're going to make a bunch of them, is you do that, and then you fold it over and get 2, and then fold it over and get 2, and just keep cutting a bunch of them out. You can make, cut out 6 just like that. So those of you that are doing future boutiques, that's a quick way to do things. All right, so when we get to this point and you've cut this out, you can't do 2 of these at a time though. Just telling you, 1 at a time on these. I guarantee when you go to cut it out, it's going to be a mess. So just 1 at a time. Now decide, when you hold this up, if you're using minky, decide what side you want on the outside. Some minky it matters, other it doesn't. On mine, it kind of matters on this one, because I look at it and it just looks a little better on one side than the other. So you're going to put right sides together, as we always do when we sew things together. So right sides together. Now, as Nita taught you guys, when you're dealing with minky, pin, 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 and pin and pin again, and you're going to do 2 rows of pinning because it's going to walk on you. So we're going to do that, and then I don't know that I have a specific way that I sew these together. So when we go to sew them together, whichever way you do, whether you do the minky side down or the other side down, is up to you. But take your time when you're laying these together, because like I said, it walks. It's fiddly. Yeah, Mary, unfortunately, some of those things have to happen because they can't outwait the cold, or they're going to be waiting months. Yeah, so if the weather doesn't affect that stuff or what they're doing, then they can go ahead and do it. Just glad I'm not the one having to be out there working in that. All right, so now when you're pinning, realize you're going to have to leave an area open for you to turn these, okay? So you can decide. I usually leave either the bottom, part of the bottom open, or a side, not at the bottom, but along the side. Because if you leave it open to the bottom, I'll show you in a second what I'm talking about. So anyway, it'll be easier to show you than to try and describe it. But you always, when you get to a corner, you always want to sew your corner and then stop. You don't want to stop at a corner and then leave that. It just doesn't turn very well. The couch cat, he's actually, my computer is right here. He's literally laying right there, right by me. He's got to be almost within paw's reach of me sometimes. Every now and then, like if you see, oh, Christy, you leaving us already? Okay. All right. Have fun, Christy. Have a good evening. Hey, Samantha. But if you saw when we were talking about my sewing machines, he was sitting behind me and he had to have his paw right on my shoulder while I was talking. He is just the sweetest baby. Absolutely love him. Bear, you're a good boy, aren't you? You're such a good boy. I still can't understand why your previous people did what they did. I don't understand. I have not seen any bad behavior out of you yet, and you've been here 2 months, maybe 2 months. Now, when I'm trying to pin this together, this thing just keeps walking. Okay. Let me give you a down view for a moment so you can see what I'm doing. So, there you go. Yeah, and Bear needs a lot of attention too, but with him at least, as long as I'm in the room with him, he's good. And if I talk to him, even better. So thankfully, he's not one of those that has to constantly have somebody petting him or touching him. And I try and, hold him and stuff, and he's still not quite, I don't think he's used to somebody actually sitting and cuddling him. I think he's more the kind that he likes to sit by you. Yeah, I'm talking about you. He's looking at me like, make sure everything you say is correct here, lady. But yeah, I think he just loves to be around people. And he's one of those that'll rub up against your legs all the time. So you have to be really careful that you don't trip over him. That's the only thing I don't like, but I'm aware of it. One time he did get behind me though, and I didn't realize he was behind me, and I backed up and about fell over him. I'm like, no, please don't. So I'm constantly having to, for some reason, this one, the minky is not playing nice with me. It's just this minky. I think it's just that it's super, super soft. So no matter what I do, when I try and smooth it out, the top part, it smooths out the bottom part. So I can't run my hand like this. I've got to pick it up and pull it because it's the right length. But if you run your hand and then just the minky moves, then you're stretching your minky, and you don't want that to go on. On his terms, absolutely. Typical cat, huh? But he's just such a joy. I just really love him. I do not get why somebody decided they didn't need him anymore. Just crazy. You silly boy. I know, I've got one like that, Mary, that's upstairs. He's my boy upstairs. That's Brody. He has to be right by me. And if I even move, he's like, Rah. And I'm like, yeah, I know, bud, but my bed, my terms. So remember, we're pinning. And I can't find my other pins. I've got a whole bunch of them. And I know you guys feel my pain on this. I've got a whole bunch of them, but do you think I can figure out where I put them? They've been MIA for about a week, and they're here. I know they're here, and I put them away a lot of times because of him. I don't want him to knock them on the floor. and they're not where I usually put them. So I must have set them on a shelf or something. Not quite sure. But this is the part that takes the longest, like Nita says, is you have to pin a lot. And you can always move things. I mean, if for some reason you just have to move this so that it's a little off, it's okay. But when you get done pinning, just make sure, because see, like when I did that, it looks like I've got a little bit, it keeps wanting to do that. So I'm just going to go with it. Sometimes you just can't win. You just have to do what the fabric is letting you do. So how was people's weekends beside the snow? Did everybody get anything done? It is, did spring start? Was spring this week? Next week. I think it's next week. Spring starts next week, yeah, because we had the time change last night. Which now that the sun's out of my window, that's good. And I've got all these pins that are bent too. You guys are probably laughing when you see some of these. I really need to just dump all these pins. This is one thing you guys can also, that are learning how to sew, is go find yourself, and this is really a bad, I didn't do a real good job with it because I did it so quick, but go find yourself a pattern for a pin cushion and just have fun. I mean, if you screw it up, you screw it up. It is what it is. And then you just stuff it with the stuffing and learn how to sew. And it is just so nice to have, because then you put, I even put my sewing needle for my machine in here. And I always know where it's at. And if I've got a bunch of others, I'll do that. But you can put your needles with have the thread on it yet, because like here's one right here. These things are invaluable, and then you'll never lose your pins or anything if you always do this, and just put it in your drawer, whatever. And thanks, Sandy. This is cute. I know, I loved it, but man, I stuffed it kind of wonky. It's like really fat over here and not over here. So didn't do so good on that part. But hey, Annie, you're making scrunchies. Good deal. Good deal. I actually did make one this last weekend for me, just because I wanted to try it for the heck of it. Everybody was making them, and I was feeling like, I need to do that, even though I don't have time. I'm just going to make one real quick. So yeah, that was really fun. And they are a good little project for learning how to do stuff as well. So I'm pinning these about 1 pin every inch the first time around. Now, since I moved that there to line up, I've got to come over here and move this side as well. And I've got to remember where I'm going to leave it open. So I'm probably going to leave mine open at the bottom, and it's going to be about like that. So I'll come around the corner and come in about 1.5 inches on each side. And then I'm going to leave that open down here. And then remember, when you stop, you're going to want to sew back and forth so that this doesn't open. So like you're starting and stopping a seam, you're doing that here on both sides, so that when you go to turn, that holds. Otherwise, your stitches will burst out, and you don't want that going on. So I'm going to put where I want that to be, right about there. And right about there is where I'm going to start and stop. Now, put another pin here. I did move that. That's funky. Another pin here. Now your corners are, you can do a lot of things at your corners, but what I like to do is pin at an angle. You see that? So I pinned at an angle right there to that corner. And I'll come over here and pin at an angle as well. Another one that's bent. And there, pin that at an angle. And then that way it just kind of holds everything for me. Again, like we say, pin, 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 like crazy pin. because you're going to be pulling these out too as you go. So the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and pin perpendicular. Man, I got a lot of bent pins. I really need to just throw these all away. I'm pinning stuff sometimes, it's pretty thick. Like I'll use these on quilts and it's pretty thick, and sometimes when I'm pushing through, I'll bend the pin. Okay, so now I've got it like this. You see how they're just kind of regimented there in a straight line. What I want to do is go back and do perpendicular as well. And I know Nita shows you guys how to do, I think she does both of hers perpendicular, and that's fine as well. There's not a right or a wrong way. But when I go and pull these out as I'm sewing, I'm going to be pulling out these and not the perpendicular ones. For me, doing it this way keeps it from moving. Other people do what works for you. If this doesn't work, try the double line of them being parallel to the edge of your fabric. But yeah, this is probably the part that takes the longest, is just the pinning, but you will be glad that you did take the time. Because when you get in there and start sewing, and if things start moving on you, oh my goodness, it'll make you nuts. And then that way, once you practice on this, you'll know what to do if you haven't made a blanket yet. You'll know how to do that and how to pin it and keep it from moving. Yeah, Sarah, how did that go? What did he have anything special on it, or was it just a fabric mask? Did you embroider on it? You have to put chickens to bed, Mary. Go for it. We'll be here. Hopefully I won't still be pinning. Oh, goodness. I don't even know if you can still buy pins like this. I've had these forever and ever. Crazy how long I've had these pins. Oh yeah, and those are perfect projects to learn things on. Any of those little projects, guys, just go for it and see what happens a lot of times. If you're not quite sure what you're supposed to be doing, and if it's just a fun little project that doesn't take a lot of time if you screw it up, or you're not going to, use up a lot of fabric if you screw it up, just try things. You're like, well, what if I do this? What will happen? And that's the only way you guys are really going to learn things. I'm going to have to start weeding some of these out while I'm doing this. Plus, I think I've got pins from, like sometimes when you buy things, they come with a pin, and I'll save it. And then they're like just a little bit shorter. Does anybody else do that, or am I just the goofy one? Hey, Sandy. Hey, Liz. You miss your chickens. Yeah, I know. Everybody, a lot of people have chickens, more than I expected. I know we have chickens out here quite a bit because we can. And the ones that everybody has out here, they're really pretty. They're kind of that rust colored, most of them, and they're really big and chonky chickens. They're healthy chickens. Love them. But then they let them get like right by the road, and the roads that I'm talking about down here in Texas are highways. And I'm like, oh my gosh, even if they don't get run over, they get hit by something. It always scares me for them. All right, so I have this pretty well pinned up. Now, let me bring my sewing machine over here, and we're going to work on sewing that. Another thing about having a sewing embroidery combo machine, switching things over. Oh, so how's that working for you, Deb? That would make me insane because I grew up in the country and I lived in an apartment for a while. Oh my goodness. It was a whole level of anxiety and stress that I never knew existed. I didn't realize it was going to bother me as bad as it did. Oh. Yeah, Mary, I get it. Everybody seems to like those Rhode Island roosters. They're so pretty. They really are gorgeous. My girlfriend has a sheep and llama farm, and she's got some of the most amazing chickens out there. She's told me what kind they are, and I mean, she's probably got about 15 or 20 now, and several different kinds. The one, though, that I'm thinking of is really black and kind of frilly looking. She's gorgeous. And I really don't know what kind she's got. You guys are watching me kind of change out my stuff here. Okay, so we're good to go now. All right, so on these, let me look at this. So since I did have a little bit of an off area, I'm going to just go ahead and trim that out because I don't want that to, the way I sew these, I don't want this to be visually in my way. You can leave it. You don't have to trim it off if that happens, but for me visually, I want to be able to see where my edges are and what's going on here. So you can go ahead and sew this together with either this side down or this side down. It really doesn't matter. And this is just regular sewing thread that I'm using on this. Yes, I do use sewing thread, PJ Mommy Sandy. I also sometimes use sewing thread as embroidery thread because I can, since this is a sewing embroidery machine, it accepts it. And it actually gives me kind of a cool little dimension because it's a matte versus a shiny, and I really like that. Plus, it also opens up some of my colors at the last second when I'm like, oh no, I don't have this color, and I do in the other. So just let you guys know, if you have sewing embroidery machines, the combo machines, go right ahead and you'll be fine doing it because your machine is set to take both those threads. I'm gonna move you guys. Sorry, I'll make you sit. But I'm going to bring you down here so you can see what's going on here. I'm going to try and see up. Let's see what's happening. All right, so now you can see what's going on in here. Now this is where it's going to get a little funky and fussy for me. So I am going to sew with this side down. If you want to sew with this side down, you can. But for me, I want to see what's going on. I want to see if this is moving on me. And I want to make sure if I stitch that. Oh, I'm going to have to. I didn't. Okay, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to do it the other way just because of the way I put the pins in. I should have pinned it the other way if I was going to do that. It really doesn't matter. I can still tell if it's moving just because I've done this so many times. Okay, so what I do is I'm going to set the edge of my foot right at the edge of the fabric there. It looks like that one's going to be right in the way. Now I'm going to pull out as I'm stitching, which is another reason why these little things come in handy, because I'll pull and stick and this will be sitting off to the side. So you're going to see me doing that. Hey, Mary, I'm right there with you. I've got 2 sewing embroidery combos. I've got my industrial, which you guys saw. I have an older Pfaff, which is just a sewing machine. That's upstairs. And then I have my serger. So I'm kind of collecting a little bit. Fell down the rabbit hole. Oh, we're on Frozen 2 now. That was quick. Leslie, Cindy, you getting Leslie all set up? Okay, cool. All right. Sarah, go back to Amber had a sew along on a legging, and I think she had a pattern on there. So I would recommend to go check that on one of her YouTube channel videos. And she probably has it in her notes as well. Okay, so let's get going here. Always make sure you keep needle down. If you have that option on your sewing machine, make sure that that is down. Hey, Ediani, you're good. You are good. We just kind of are just now getting to sewing. You are no problem. So we're going to do these. What's going on? Just had a noise. Something's not working. All right, we're going to start that over. I don't know. It beeped at me. I'm going to get a piece of scrap fabric and just sew it real fast to make sure that I don't have a problem with my threading. Hang on. Since it beeped at me that quickly, it makes me think that's what's going on. And then set your stitch length to about a 2.8 or a 3 for this. And if you just have a turn dial, then almost to your 3 will work. Okay, we're good. Sometimes when I switch stuff out on thread, it'll do that. And it'll kind of give me that beep, 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 like something's not going right, but there's no problems. I don't know what it's doing. I think it's just confused. It's always kind of done that for me. All right, we're good to go. So let's try this again. And this is a good way too when you're doing these colors. This is your inside thread. If you have like little bits of thread that you're going to use up, go for it. It's not going to show. Nobody's going to see it because it's on the inside. So I usually set the edge of my foot right at the edge of the fabric on this side, on the far side. And then that's how I keep track of what I'm doing and where I'm going. Now I am going to do my back stitch. Now this one is going to be in the way, so I've got to make sure that one goes away. That was a perpendicular one that I was telling you guys to put in. So sew to your about where you think when you turn. that the edge of your foot is going to land at the edge of that fabric. And if you're not quite there, that's fine. You can go back and take another stitch or two. And I'm just kind of crazy, but I always like to trim my edges, turn my threads while I go. All right, so now we're going to sew down. See if I'm missing anybody. Yeah, Diani, how's it going up there in Michigan? Deb, yeah, 50 cents on Etsy. Wow. If you need instructions, some of those patterns, I'd be kind of careful if they're too inexpensive, because she's probably just got an outline and it may only be a couple of sizes, and it might be good. I'm just saying, sometimes you get what you pay for on patterns. So just, be mindful. If you need help, you need instructions, you may not be getting a whole lot of it when you're getting a pattern that cheap. Okay, so. Now, I'm going to pull some of these out. I don't know how many times I catch myself with a pin, and it hurts. And don't be afraid to keep stopping and straightening your fabric underneath. It'll move on you maybe when you turn like that. Like I had a little piece that kind of wanted to turn for me, and then I'm losing a pin over here. So these things happen. Just stop and adjust things periodically if you need to. Yeah, if she offers a few free patterns, then yeah, you can download one and see how the instructions are, and if they work for you, and if it's good, then go for it. Yeah, that's a great deal. Oh, I just broke a needle. Hang on, guys. That's what I get. This never fails. And I was getting to the end of that one, and I should have known to change it out. Okay, so no big deal if you break a needle and you have to get in there and move things around. All right. Let me get this out of here. It hit the pin. That's why it broke too. And the pin as well. The pin is like totally messed up now. My goodness. There we go. Got it. See, when we do these lives, you guys see real life action, and this does happen to other people too, so it's all good.
Still messing with something here. It feels like I've got a little shard I'm trying to get out. There it is. So yeah, when you do break a pin in there or a needle or something, just make sure you're feeling consistently that you've gotten everything out before you know. And you'll know right away, because like that one, this fabric is so soft, I could just feel it was really stiff right there. So take some of these out. Hey, Sandy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just start with a back forward again, because that's where I stopped. Oh my goodness, there still must be something in there. What the heck? Why did it do that? Hang on a second, guys. I got to do a little investigation on this, because it felt like it hit something, but there's nothing to hit. Yeah, I'm not feeling anything. I don't know what did that. Let's see. I'm going to snip this open and pull this seam open and just kind of redo it. Sometimes that's the only way, is I'll start back over here and we'll move forward from that. That could easily just be like a little knot or something. It's not going well. And always, I should always do this when I change my needle out, is just make sure everything's good, because it could have actually taken my thread. Yep, that's what it is. It took my thread. So I got to rethread my machine real fast. Sometimes when that stuff happens, you need to pull your bobbin out and put it back in and rethread your top. It just sometimes jacks something up really bad, and that's all you got to do. And you'll be fine after that. But keep a little piece of something to test on the side if you keep having issues, until you get it to where it's sewing good for you. So here's my test again. Should be good to go now. There we go. Yep, solved the problem. So anytime you guys are having problems like that, just rethread your bobbin and rethread the top. And a lot of times you'll be sewing along and it just starts doing that. And that's all you got to do to solve the problem. Okay, so I'm going to turn that corner one more time. So I'm going to pick up where I was and sew over that seam again. And you're going to be doing back and forth to get your thread started. The dog's snoring if you hear something in the background. She's really become quite the snorer lately. I don't know what her thing is. I don't know if it's just because she's getting out of her puppy stage or what it is, but it's so funny. She sounds like a grandpa. Oh, sorry. I was going to hit that. I'm pulling pins as we go here. I'm sorry, guys. I need to move that pin thing. That's crazy, because it's right where that camera is, and I keep hitting it. But that's where I'm used to having it, is right over here where the camera is. And so when I pull, I put it there. And just straighten fabric if you notice that you're getting, like when I was sewing there, is the cotton was not keeping up with the bottom fabric. So I just had to stop real quick and adjust the top fabric lightly. And this one's going to be in my way as well. Another thing that you can use if you get stuck and you're trying to get pins out, a little trick that works really well, and I can't find their title. Take your seam ripper. So you've got your seam ripper, and you just go in and you can catch the head of that and pull that if you get just a little too far where you can't get a hold of that pin. And all day long I'll just be popping sometimes if I've got them completely wrong. Yep, I'm making a bib, Sandy. This is the counterpart to Amber's sew along last time when she made the burp cloth. Okay, so I didn't get quite far enough. I need to go one more stitch. And there we go. So I'm in the home stretch here, guys. And if you need to, you'll see I catch back here. And I just do it and don't even realize I'm doing it. It's when I feel like, instead of a walking foot, if I feel like I've got a little lagging going on with my fabric, I'll just be back here with my hand just kind of guiding, not pulling, guiding the fabric. Sometimes it needs just that ever little light tug like you would if you had a walking foot. And that's kind of my way through a lot of this stuff. Okay, so moving stuff as I come to the edge here. And we're in the home stretch. And I'm going over to this pin here to stop. And then we will back stitch just like we did when we started. Okay. So now I'm going to move you guys here. I'm going to cut some threads. That's the other nice thing about everything going on the inside. You don't have to really trim threads all that incredibly well. If you got some hanging, it's no big deal. Push this back. Sorry about that, so that you can see what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to pull out all the other pins that are still in there. So yes. Now we're going to do a little trimming before we turn this, okay? There's going to be some reasons why we do what we do here. So I'm going to show you some things, but it's going to take me a couple of minutes to pull all these pins out. It's the only bad thing about pinning like we do. But at least you know if you miss one when you go to turn this, it's going to be pretty obvious. Your fabric's going to be stuck in one spot. Frustrating, because then you have to go back in and find it. But I've done it how many times where I could swear I had it, and I turn it and I'm like, oh, you kidding me? It's stuck right there. But you could see by the pinning that I did, I just sewed right along, no problems. I had a couple of areas I just had to slow down a little bit and move the fabric, and it was the top fabric that wasn't cooperating very well in one area, and then it was fine. Okay, so we now have like this. Stick back here just a little bit more here. So what I'm going to do is we are going to take your corners. Okay, so I'm down at the bottom down here. I'm going to this corner and this corner right now, okay? Those two corners. And look on the back. Now you're going to see my back where I told you that the minky moves a little bit. So you'll see it move just a little bit on me here. It's okay. It's no big deal. That'll be fine. This one, you'll see if I lay it out, I had a little bit of a scrunch up here like this. We'll take care of that when we go to close, okay? So that's no big deal. So take your corners, and you're going to cut at a 45-degree angle to cut those off so that they turn and they become a really nice sharp corner. Anytime you guys are sewing and you have corners like this you have to turn, you want to cut them at a 45-degree angle to that corner. So then we're going to go up here, and I'm actually going to trim this off because it's a little extra and it's going to get bulky up there, and this is where the snaps are going. So we want to try and take the bulk out of where the snaps are going to be. So I'm going to trim this little extra, and I knew this was going to happen when I was laying it out. It just wasn't working. I might have cut it a little too long because that fabric likes to move. So cutting at a 45 on these as well, and these as well, both sides. Now, there's one more thing we're going to do before we start turning. Okay, you guys have these inside corners now right here too, right? So what we're going to do is you're going to cut at an angle, going to there, and it's not wanting to focus there. Okay, cutting at an angle, and you go almost to the stitching. So you see how that, and that's going to help you turn things really nice, and it's going to lay really nice. And this is where those scissors that I keep telling you guys about, these Fiskars, that have this edge right here. See how nice that edge is? Well, you see that angle? If it would ever focus. That angle is where the sharp bits are, and they're perfect for those little snips. Hey, Zoa. So there is everything there, and I think I might actually try and take a little bulk out of this because it looks like this had a little extra on it as well. So go ahead and trim, you know, if you want to trim some of that bulk out before you turn it, because we're going to top stitch when we turn it at the very end, not right away, but at the very, very end. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and turn from the bottom. So you turn everything out, and when I turn these edges here that we cut at the corners, I just take my thumb and my finger, and I put my finger in there, and I push them through. And it becomes a nice little turned corner because we cut at the angles. We took all the bulk out of those corners. So keep turning. And when you get up to these tie parts, you just have to mess with them to turn them. And I just get in there and pull them out. And this is the part that kind of, you know, just takes a little bit of time. There is no real fast way of doing this. You just sit and mess with them. Since there's a little bit of width, though, it's not so bad. When I've got one turned, then I'll pull my finger in, and you can even do like a long pointer, like a chopstick or something, to get in and do these corners. But you can even just do it with your finger. Anything dull, sometimes I'll even get, I don't know where my scissors at. I've got a scissor that's got a rounded top. There is no sharp points to it at all. It's like a super cheap scissor, and I use it to cut paper with. I think I spent like $1 or $2 on them. But the edge right here is super rounded and not sharp at all. So sometimes I'll even use that and leave it completely together, not open, but leave it together and get it up in there and just push on that edge, and it's fine. Then you've got that, and then we do the other side. So you just get it started and pull it out. And I always pull by the minky. It just seems like it pulls more fabric than if I pull by the cotton side or the knit side. It seems to turn it a little quicker. And I wonder where those scissors are. So I'd like to show you that. I just had them too. Bear, did you play ping pong with those? You love to do that. I swear he sees something and he doesn't play. Yeah, that purple thing. I do need that purple thing, Sandy. He's so funny. He's not one that plays a lot, but if he sees something on a table and I have to make sure everything is cleared off of the table, because he'll sit there and all of a sudden he'll just look at it, and then you go, and it's on the floor just that fast. And then he's done. And he looks at me like, and where's the next thing? And he'll find one more thing, and it's on the floor just that fast. He's so silly. But then I'm like, okay, now where did that go? All right, so now when we get done, we've got this, right? All right, so this is where you're going to want to go press. Okay, you have to press this before we go on. All right, and when you're doing that, then this is where we're going to press that even. And you're going to probably want to use an iron to do this. So you see how I just take that, and I can finger do that for right now. But when I go over to my iron, then I want to press that before I do this, okay? So I'm going to go press this real quick. You guys chat for a second, and I'll be right back. Okay, so by pressing, now everything is laying real nice and flat. And I'm going to have to take you guys up for just a second so you can see what this is. But everything's laying nice and flat. And it's going to be good for us to do our top stitch. So I did use my heat press as well to get it this flat. But I would do this part with an iron first before you put it into the heat press. And then when I did heat press, it caused a couple of wrinkles right here, which is no big deal. Take your spray bottle with water. You spray that and then take your iron to it and just flatten it back out. But this made it really easy. So when you use your heat press, you can make sure it's really flat. Plus then I got this adhered too because I hadn't done that because I was showing you guys. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to pin this part to the inside as well. So I wanted this to be nice and flat and even and straight and ironed because it's too easy when you're turning things to not have that happen, and then you've kind of got a mess. So when I was saying I had a little extra at the top, this is where you can kind of move everything down when you go to put this in and catch it in that seam. If for some reason you had just a little extra fabric up here. So go ahead and flip it over and just kind of move it with your hand. And since you've already got that top one, like I said, completely flat, and you know it's where it needs to be, all you have to do is mess with this one. So then I've got that. I can pin this. And I like to pin before I turn because this minky likes to move, as you all know. So I want to pin it, and then I'll pin it a little better. But at least now I've got it caught. So we're going to do a little more pinning. And just double check that this is laying really nice when you go to pin it. And we're going to top stitch on this. And we're going to catch this completely closed with our top stitch. Make sure you get all your edges pinned. And I do it for more reasons than keeping it there. I want to know where that start and stop is. So I started there and I stopped over there. So I want to know those points because I have to be really careful that when I'm top stitching, as you can see, the edge of my inside seam fabric is right here. It runs right there. You can kind of see a shadow of it, and you can see it like right there. And you'll be able to see your shadows of these when you're doing them. So you want to make sure your top stitch falls between there and the edge of the fabric. And so I want to measure that a little bit just so I know that when I go to set my, foot down on that, I'm going to know. So I'm sitting at about a ½ inch seam. So I'm going to be good. All right, this is where if you want a top stitch in a special color, change your machine color to match either this or this, change your bobbin to match that. Maybe your machine color stays white, doesn't matter. I'm going to leave the white in because it really doesn't matter right now. So we're going to top stitch all the way around this. And then this is going to take a little bit of time as well. And you may even want to go in and pin just a little bit again because this is going to move. We're trying to sew on it again. So I'm not going to pin quite as hard this time because it's already caught on a seam, but I do want to pin here and there on the long stretches so that it will not create this, because if it moves, all of a sudden you're going to have a whole bunch of fabric right up here. And if it's starting to move, I'm going to catch it also because one of these pins is going to show me because it's going to start bumping up against that pin and I can catch it long before it becomes a real problem. And if I have to rip out just a little bit and go backwards, I can. Now keep your stitch a little wider when you do this. That's part of the reason why it'll walk is your stitch length is too short. So I'm going to run at a minimum of a 3 on this. Maybe even a 3.5 or a 4. I'll see how when I first start how it's doing. And if it feels like it's kind of moving my fabric a little bit, I'm going to bump it up to about a 4. So that's another way to control movement of your fabric is your stitch width. And I want to make sure I catch some of this top fabric because it's right there. I want that underneath just a little bit. And so I'm rolling it back just a tiny bit, not a lot, but just a little bit so that it'll catch it on the underneath. Okay. And you can do that on all these edges that you've got things going on. This is really what takes the longest to make these is just all the pinning that goes on. And then once you guys start getting better at it, you probably won't have to pin quite as much. I still pin quite a bit because I don't care how long you've done this. It seems like it still moves on me. It doesn't care. Oh, that one's gone. All right, now. Thanks, Leslie. And actually, guys, this is a peeker. This octopus is a peeker. And then I put the first beach trip down here. You could put the kid's name. You could put my first beach trip, whatever you wanted to put down there underneath. But the peekers you can use for so many things. All right, now I am going to start probably over on the side, not down here. Start over on the side. Bring you guys back over here. I'm going to show you something real quick. On my foot, trying to see how I can show this to you. You see how there's a line right there up the foot. That's what I'm going to use as my guide for my top stitch. So I'm going to run the edge of my fabric right along that line. So that's my visual guide. And then I'm going to show you guys another piece that comes with a lot of machines. Don't forget backstitch a couple. And that little thing, that little you guys keep hearing, it's the start stop button for my embroidery. Okay, so now I've started and stopped. I went back with just a little shorter stitch length. This is one of those things where you can do your back and forth, just your few stitches in a short stitch length to really lock it in and then go change your stitch length once you've got that done. So that was at about a 2.8, or if you've forgotten and then you did that, no big deal. You can go change it when you're halfway through. think I'm going to go up to about a 4 on this and keep my stitch length at a 4. And then on this one, I especially hold on to the back here, and I just take my time. Don't be in a big hurry on this. If you go real slow, your fabric shouldn't move too much for you. And I think that's a lot of the problems that we have with fabric moving is we sew way too quickly. Speed is not everything it's cracked up to be sometimes. So this is where you get to the edge and then gauge where you're at. Turn. If you're not really quite where you're supposed to be, then you can go back, take 1 more stitch or 2 more stitches, depending upon how close you are. Now I'm coming up to where these pins are. Okay. So you see, this is where I turned everything. So I'm going to especially stay a little slower on my speed because I don't want to waver of any kind because that's where I'm catching my seam closure. And I'm stopping and pulling pins as I go, which you saw a few times earlier I didn't do. That's a bad habit of mine. My mom was the kind that just sewed and we didn't pull pins, and she didn't teach me I was supposed to pull pins. And then I found out later I was supposed to pull pins, and I was like, no wonder I'm breaking needles and popping pins like I am. Things you learn. And I was just getting really good at sewing over the pins so that that wouldn't happen, which you can do too. If you go slow enough, you can catch if you're going to hit the pin. All right, so we're turning our corner. Now, if this does like that and it can't catch very well, what I will do is either pop that up and move, pop your needle up and move it just a tiny bit, or you can take either your scissor blade or your seam ripper and get in there and just under the foot, just real carefully, act like it's a walking foot, and with 1 stitch, you can move your fabric forward. Just enough to catch, because all it's doing is your feed dogs underneath are not catching everything to move that fabric forward. So once you've got it, so you're moving it forward, and this is the part where it drives me crazy because I've got to have my hands on the back. It's just the way I've always learned to do things and control. And we all have our own little things that work for us. I'm going to just kind of pop this thread, this underneath here, this fabric, because my fuzzy is kind of sitting out there, and I want to see if I can't catch that. If you don't, it's no big deal. It's just the OCD in me sometimes. I like to have things where they're supposed to be when I'm sewing. And I'm missing things, so if you guys are chatting and asking questions, I'm sorry I'm missing it. Hey, Angelica. All right, so now we're getting up to the corner here. I'm going to try and turn this. Yep, gauged it right. Okay, so this is where I'm going to have to probably guide my fabric just a little bit here till it catches. There we go. Do the same again. Let's catch it. Now, get into the home stretch. I'm going to trim these threads here. Put these pins in backwards. They're hard to pull as I'm going without hitting the camera here. All right. That was just me, silly. She just heard me move something and it made a noise. So she barks so easily at noises. Amber LaRue, it's okay. It was just me, sweetheart. It's all right. I know. I've got the curtains up too, so she can't see out because of the way the daylight was going, and it messes with my camera lighting. So she can't even see out. So she'll hear a noise and not realize that it's nothing to bark at. So she'll bark just a little bit longer. Had I'd not had that up, she probably wouldn't have even barked. She just would have looked outside and realized it was nothing to bark about. But yeah, now you're all kinds of protective on me, aren't you, girl? It's all good. Not used to having a dog that barks at noises. My previous dog was so quiet. She would bark, but I think I heard her bark at a noise maybe once a year, if that. Okay, so when you come back, make sure you line up with where you started. So if you're off just a little bit on your stitching, just go ahead and line it up really good as you're coming into that home stretch and finish it off. If you have to rip it back out and redo it, it's not going to show. It's just tedious. It's not going to show. Okay, so let me move you guys. I think I'm going to put you back up on my stand now. So hold on. And if this makes you guys sick, hang on. I'm telling you right now. I'm moving you. Okay. So we're almost done. You got to do either snaps or Velcro, your choice. So here's this part. I'm going to use snaps. I'm not a fan of Velcro, and I'm sure those of you that have had kids know the Velcro as it goes through the washer, it just gets into everything. It gets stuck to everything. So I love those cam snaps. And they're super easy, guys. Don't even be worried about them. They're super easy. So I said on there you could do 2 sets or you can do 1 set, your choice. If you do 2 sets, what I would do is put either 1 here and 1 here. So I'm talking like 1 here and then 1 further in, so that if the baby is smaller, they can choose to have 2 places to put the snaps. Or if you just want 1, you can just put 1 right there. Or if you really wanted 2, you could do 2 side by side. So it's however you really want everything to work for your shop. Everybody has their things that they like, whether it's from experience with kids or just things you've seen, things you've heard people say. So whatever works for you. Aw, thanks, guys. I'm glad you like the octopus. I think he's kind of fun. And I was challenged right before this by somebody who was saying, I told them I was making a bid for this, and she goes, well, do you have one that has a beach theme? And I know the girl that's having the baby, and I didn't realize she was going to buy her something already. And I said, well, I might. And then when I started doing this, I was like, here it is. I just found it. So I'm going to show her this. And we'll decide if she wants like just an initial down here, or if she wants first beach trip or something put on there. But I'll go in and clean up all those jump stitches that didn't trim out earlier. So let's put the cam snaps in. So these are super easy. So to put them in the middle, what I like to do is use these. I've got a pen that I use that disappears. You don't even need to use water. It just disappears. It's called the disappearing ink pen. And it's probably going to fade out. You
probably not be able to read it, but it says right on there, disappearing ink in gold letters. And this, if you don't, if you mark on this and come back tomorrow, it'll be gone. So do this before you, right before you're going to do this, because I can't guarantee how long it's going to stay on there. So what I'll do is I'll mark the first one where I want it to go, fold it in half. And I'm just going to do one for right now. I'll decide later if I'm going to go back and put in a second one. And so I'm going to put it like right about here. So I'm going to do a mark so I can see where to put my cam. Okay. And that looks like it's about, I just guessed, but probably about ½ inch down from the top-ish. So I start with one. And it doesn't really matter which side is top or bottom. It really doesn't. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and overlay it just a little bit. So let's do it this way so I can see where I'm at. And you can see I overlaid it about the same amount, okay? Cam snaps come with this little awl, and it's very sharp, okay? So you're going to run that through where you put that all the way through both. And it goes through kind of hard, and I push it through a long ways because I want to know where that's at. If you only go enough for the tip, you're going to lose where that's at. Okay. So now you can see that hole. It made a good size hole on both, okay? So now I'm going to put a top in one and a bottom in the other. And since it doesn't really matter which one goes where, then I'll just grab one for one side and one for the other. And I'm just going to do it however it comes out. So you just got to make sure, though, that your top, Amber, no, sweetheart, there's nothing to bark about out there, that your top one has this little guy on the top. And if it's the bottom piece, the receiving piece, then it goes on the underneath side. Okay, I've done that before. That's why I'm telling you guys. I've screwed up and I was in the home stretch and I was almost there and was not thinking. So I always give them a good squeeze from several different angles just to make sure that it's good and smashed. And then I always double check. You can see it smashes it really good in the middle there. Okay, so there's the one. Now this is the one that goes on the bottom. And that one's going to be a little harder to see just because of the Velcro. So I'm going to do just a little guesstimating and then have to just kind of figure it out from there. Move it until that point comes through. There we go. There it is. Put the bottom on. Double check that I've got a bottom and a top. I've done that before too. Squeeze it. A couple of different angles to make sure it's good and smashed. Now be careful on this receiving one, because if you get off just a little bit, you'll break the snap. So take your time on that one. I've done that once and thought I was on and then found out I wasn't and had to remove it. You can remove these with a flathead screwdriver, and you get up underneath here and you just kind of have to pry it off. You have to be real careful that you don't rip your fabric, but then test it. I always test them to make sure. Test them a couple times. And the first time you do it, it's going to be a little stiff, and then each time after that, it gets a little easier. So I always test them. And there you go. You have a bib, guys. And then if you do the rounded one, then these edges will all be rounded, and that'll be rounded as well. Yeah, I have not done any of the in the hoop ones, guys, like you're talking about. So yeah, that would be interesting to hear what you guys think about on those. So, but there is your bib. And these are so fun, guys. These are so fun to make. So yeah, I want to see bibs. I want to see everything you guys are doing. I haven't seen a whole lot of what you guys are doing lately. And I know I'm not on Discord as much anymore. Life is getting a little crazy, and I'm trying to keep up with everything. And I'm paying attention as you guys talk. So if you tag me or whatever, I am paying attention. So I do see it because I'll go back and look through just to make sure nobody's tagging me. And I kind of try and keep up on the conversations. And oh man, I want to get in there and talk with you guys so much. So I'm lurking. Like I said, I'm the lurker there. So a lot of times if you guys are talking, no, I'm in the background lurking. And I do not in the bib. No, I don't line the inside of the bib. You could if you wanted to. I don't, Zoa. Just have that stabilizer. Here, let me do this. I have the stabilizer as the backing of this, and then just the minky or the fleece or your terry cloth, any absorbent thing that you want to do. But these are pretty sturdy, as you can tell. They've got some sturdiness to them, I guess is the way, because the fabric on the front helps. Now the knit's going to be a little less sturdy. This is the cotton. So if you choose a knit, just realize it probably won't have this kind of a shape to it when you hold it up like this as much as it does when it's cotton. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Leslie. So yeah, these are good to use little bits and pieces of, because this minky is left over from a big quilt I made, because I do commission quilts for people, like the t-shirt quilts, and sometimes people will commission me to do a children's quilt that I have my own pattern for. It's based off of my elephants. So if you guys were watching last week, I showed you my logo, which is my elephant. So that is on my baby quilt, and so I do a lot of this on the back. I pick this stuff up from Walmart, guys. This is the stuff you go over and you buy, and it's in the roll already, pre-cut, and I think it's like $10 or $12, and that's big enough to make a baby blanket out of. And then if I'm doing a larger quilt, I'll buy a couple of them. But these are the bits and pieces I have left out of that, and so that's how I'm using up those. Is I'm going to start making little bibs and burp cloth sets and stuff to use that up, because I make enough of those quilts just on a commission basis that I've cut enough of a stack over there. I got to figure out what I'm doing with it. Another thing you guys can make, that you guys have little squares of things, is make washcloths. So you could do the same thing here and put the back, whether it's this or terry cloth, little pieces, and make little washcloths and use up all your fabric scraps that you have that are just a little too big to do anything with, but a little too small to do anything with, but just big enough that you're like, I don't want to use that either for embroidery, because that's still a pretty good piece of fabric. So you could easily do a bib, burp cloth, and washcloth set, and that would be a trio, and they'd be so cute. You just put them up, little squares, however big, and then put them in a stack and tie a real pretty bow around them and give them with those sets. And the basket, yes, Cindy's baskets that you guys have you guys seen her baskets? Oh my goodness, her baskets are the best. They're so pretty. Thanks, Eithmar. Yes, you can just all kinds of good stuff in there, Leslie. Those baskets, people love those things, and they're easy. They're easy gifts for them to go to your shop and just go, put this on there, put that on there. If they don't know the baby's name, doesn't matter. They could do a last name. They can do anything, And you could even just put sweet baby girl on there if they know it's a girl, or, sweet baby boy or something. So there's all kinds of ways around not knowing what a name is, or things like that. If they're not close enough to the baby's mother to have that information, or maybe they're waiting till they see the baby to name the baby. So there's all kinds of ways around that. So trying to catch up on you guys' conversations here. Adding some lace, absolutely. Oh, here's the other thing, guys, I was going to tell you too. So if you have a tag, so some of you have the little tags that go on the sides. You can put that in when you're sewing the front to the back. You just slide it in. Let me see here. So we're going to pretend that this is the, the front and the back, but it's inside out. So here's your tag, and it's one of those that folds in half, okay? So I'm going to fold the tag in half, and then it's going to go, and it's going to lay like that. Here, let me do the pink side out so that you guys can see better instead of the gray side out. So you're going to lay it like that, but it's going to be in your sandwich in the middle. You're not going to see it. It's going to be on the absolute inside, so between this layer and that layer, but I'm just showing you how you lay it. And then when you go and stitch, you'll catch it right here. And when you turn it out, then it'll be on the outside. Or if you have ones that are finished on the edges here, and I know I've seen all kinds. So there's some also that kind of just wrap around the edge. They don't stick out. You can do it at the end when you're top stitching. If that's the case, if the edges are finished or if they're turned, then you can also do it that way. And it'll fit like that. And then you just sew across as you're top stitching. I hope this was good for you guys. I think this is a good one that you guys can do a lot with. And you can have fun with your embroidery. All kinds of fun things to do with your embroidery. Oh, my, yikes, sorry, my camera just almost fell. I saw it right when it moved. Oh my goodness. That was scary. So yeah, oh man, she's just going to town on that chew toy over there. Working out her little barking aggression that she had. So I want to see sets, guys. I want to see you guys start posting what you're doing. Even if you're not 100% proud of it, I want to see your progress. I love watching you guys grow. I love watching to see what you do. And it's fun for us to encourage you too, because we see your growth as well. It's so encouraging even for those that are a little nervous yet to even start. If they see your growth and they see that you are doing this, that, and the other, and you're able to do it as well. So any questions, guys? Did I cover everything for you? Did we do okay with it? Want to make sure if you have any questions, we get them answered for you. I mean, you guys are seeing all my mistakes. You're seeing this is real time. You saw me break the needle. You saw all that good stuff. So I hope that's teaching you guys some things too. I mean, I had a little thread issue. How did I fix that? You guys are quiet all of a sudden. Is everybody doing like working and stuff? Or is my live chat just stuck and I'm not seeing the conversation? Let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, Samantha, I missed that. This little guy, he is very sharp, and I have stabbed myself a few times, and I was even thinking I was away from my finger. I was being really careful. Oh my goodness, this thing hurts. So yeah, it gets the job done. I think I had a little blood I had to deal with at that point too. Crazy. Yeah, it's real and raw, Divya. I mean, that's why we like doing those for you guys. That was kind of the thing we talked about, me, Gabby, and Amber, about how when it's real and raw like that, anything can happen. And you guys are seeing it as it happens, and you're seeing how we're fixing it, and that it does happen to everybody. It's not just you. Oh, good. Oh, I wish you guys could show us some of that stuff that you're doing. That's the part this is where you guys can't interact with me like with pictures, and I can't see what you're doing. So I want to see. Makes me nuts. I want to see. Yes, and Deb, I was talking about this and I haven't done it yet, but we're going to do some Zooms. I'm going to get that set up. This weekend didn't work out for me to have one, and I want to make sure that I get on at least the first couple, and then I'll find some people that can have the Zoom numbers that I know we're going to have behind the scenes chats, and just make sure if somebody can't be like if I can't be at the next one, that I've got somebody covering so that you guys can definitely still have your Zoom time. But yeah, we're going to start doing some Zoom shows so everybody can start meeting everybody, and it's going to be so much fun. It's going to hold a lot of people, and we don't know how long they're going to go. You know, whether they'll be an hour, 2 hours, all day. I don't know. I think it's just going to be whoever's the person that's handling it, however long they can stay, or pass it on to somebody else, and you guys can stay on as long as you need to, kind of thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to those. It's going to be a little more of that girl time that we're all craving, and hopefully we'll get some guys in there too. But for now, I don't know that we've got guys. I mean, we've got Jerry, Ediani's Jerry might join us. Ready Hustle. Hopefully we can get him in there every now and then. Who else do we have? I think I've seen a couple guys' names come across just briefly at one time. Who else are we missing? Oh, Armando. We can get Armando on there helping us out. How's Armando's back, Cindy? Are you still on? I was going to text you and find out how he was doing. Hey, Mary. Yes, it's that FaceTime for bedtime thing. Okay, Mary, so here's the finish. So, and there's the snap top. So you'll be able to go back and see the rest of it. But there it is. Yes, post pictures on the Discord, guys. We want to see your sew along stuff. So anyway, yeah, if you guys can get, this is for everybody, you know, I'm going to post it on Discord, and it'll be on Nita's group and on little Lesia Co's group. And then I'll post it in Eddie Yanni's group as well when we get this set up. And that way we can kind of keep it a little bit more just for us. And then if you guys have friends that want to join, that's fine. Good with that. But I want us to control a little bit so that we don't have to moderate quite so heavily. And that's the only part. I want everybody to be able to relax and just enjoy, where if somebody has to really watch who's getting on and what's going on, and if we got to kick people out and block people, then that's not fun and relaxing. So that's why I'm saying you can invite people. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and invite people. Just realize we're not going to put it out there for the masses. It's going to be our people who come to our lives, who can be on the Discord. If you are a follower of me or Cindy or Amber or Gabby or whatever, and you're not on Discord, let us know. You can message us on Instagram. And if you come to all of our little lives here on YouTube and you aren't on that and you want to be a part of it, then just let us know. We'll get you the information. I'm just trying to control some of the trolls. Oh, goodness. I don't know. Hang on, guys. I got to see what's going on here. Oh, goodness. What is going on? Oh, it must have been the guy next door. Must have been doing something on the boat. It sounded like I had some animals like really squawking and making a bad noise, and it was just like right out here, and then Ember freaked out. It's I live just rural enough that can happen, and sometimes if that's going on and they're just right here, I can go and just walk outside and they'll quit and they'll run away. But I always want to make sure nobody's like hurting each other. I can keep it from help it from happening. So yeah, it sounds like the guy next door was messing with his boat though. So okay, Kathleen. So yeah, Kathleen, if you are, wanting to be a part of that, just drop us a message, because we're not going to put this on the YouTube, and you understand why I just explained it. But you can get us through Instagram. You can. My Instagram is Scandeez, and it's down in my my notes on my description. So you can drop me a message, and we can connect through that, and I can get you the information if you want to join. So you bet. But yeah, that noise, that was really scary. But it did kind of sound like he was winding. And so I think what he was doing was he was messing with the boat, and he was probably winding it just a little bit, the chain that pulls the boat up Man, my words tonight are gone up the trailer. So it was kind of a weird ongoing noise. So kind of like, unlike Cindy's the other night where it was, oh boy. Yeah, mine wasn't that quick. It was kind of a longer one. So yeah. What is it with this lately? These noises that we're hearing. This is crazy, guys. Oh my gosh. Just crazy. Okay, Deb, you're on Instagram. Come find me. Just drop me a link or something. And if you're not part of the Discord, we'll get you invited. It's going to be in the next couple of weeks, guys. I'm going to start this. I've got to look and see how my Saturdays are going here coming up. This last one wasn't good, especially with time change. I was kind of real leery about how my day was going to go, but I had an event that I had on Saturday night. It was actually late Saturday afternoon. So, and then I had some stuff I had to do Saturday morning. So I was like, oh, this is not a good Saturday to try and start this. So maybe next Saturday will work out real well. I got to look and see how everything's rolling. I know I'm going to try and maybe set up like another time too during the month. So we'll try and do maybe 2 different days, a Saturday and some other, like an evening or something, like a Saturday morning into afternoon, or however that works, and just be real fluid with it if we have to move things around. It's no big deal. Just want to make sure everybody has fun and gets a chance to meet everybody. So yeah. What else is going on, guys? I love my Sunday nights chatting with you guys. Love them. She's being pretty good tonight. I didn't have time to get her outside and get her energy out of her today. It just didn't work out. And I thought, oh, she's going to be a crazy girl today. She's being really good. She's just turning 2 this month. So I know that's helping. And she's going to start ramping down a little bit. I hope. I call her crazy girl for a reason, because she just, she gets outside. And the minute I open the door, that nose goes, and she's literally, squirrel, shiny thing. Ooh, yeah, that. You know? How's that going, Ediani? Is that working? You're still getting a bunch of orders. I know. I haven't had a chance to talk to you. You know, Sandy, this time change doesn't bother me so bad. It's when, and I don't know why, we lose an hour, but I think it has something to do with that daylight thing. My brain knows that days are going to start getting longer, where the other one around, they start getting shorter, and my brain doesn't like that. I don't like the days where I feel like I'm getting next to no daylight, even though I am, but I like when it's dark at 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, not at 5, 6 o'clock at night. Oh, Ediani, I want to see those. I want to see those tags. Yeah, you're the same. You're same as me, Ediani. It's the backwards that gets me. More light. I know. I'm so excited. I'm so ready for longer days. I am so ready for this. And the only thing I hated about this time change when I used to commute was it would frustrate me. I would finally have light when I was driving to work, barely, but I had light because I was going to work so early. And then this would happen. Look at nosy Nelly. And then this would happen, and I'd be like, great, now I'm driving to work in the dark again for another month. Thanks. Yeah, look at nosy Nelly. Got to know what's going on out there. Little Bear is still just laying over here. He's just so chill, guys. Yeah, everybody's got their reasons as to which one messes with them. Oh man, I'm glad that I've got my heat press on, and I'm glad it clicks. And it's the timer thing keeps clicking, because that reminds me it's on. I have to turn it off. Oh my goodness, Pia. How much water did you get, Pia? I hope it wasn't bad. Sometimes it's a bigger mess to fix than the amount of water you were dealing with, but you still have to fix it. I was so lucky. I thought for sure when I was sitting down here during the week of the storm, I was sitting on the couch because it was warmer down here. Plus I moved Ember down here because of all the ice, and I have 14 steps up to my house. And so I didn't want to deal with her going down those steps, even though I was salting the steps. It's still, she's hard on those steps on a good day when they're dry. So I left her down here, and I was sitting down here with her and Bear one night. And then all of a sudden I heard this pop in the outside wall. And I was like, oh no, because I have a hose bib out there. But it was at a different place in the wall, but it was in that right wall, but it was over just a little bit. And I thought, oh, I bet I did. Now that I think back, it wasn't. We figured it out. It wasn't after my water came back. I wonder, I have the corrugated metal on the outside of my studio in certain areas. I wonder if it was in that corrugated metal that made that pop noise. And that was right where it's at, because I don't have it all over on the facade. I just have it in certain areas as kind of, I have a very modern looking outside to my studio. A lot of different materials, and it's very, very modern looking. And so that's part of one of the 3 materials that I have out there. And I was like, oh boy, I thought it was for sure my water pipe, because that was a really loud pop. Now I'm starting to think about it going, it might have been that. Might have been that. Ediani, your tutus are so pretty. You're doing such a good job. Oh, I like those. Ashley, if she's on, if not, these are beautiful tags. I love those, Ediani. So that's the tag I was talking about on the edge. So you've already figured out how to put them in. So yeah, that's the tag that I was showing you a little earlier. Your tutus are so cute. Good, very little, Pia. Yeah, it's just more of a pain to get into and get it fixed. Because, you know, you have to get a hole big enough to get in there and get at what you're getting at. It's like if the leak is right here, your hole's got to be like, to be able to get in there and do anything, you got to get both hands in there and tools and all that stuff. So yeah, she did a really good job. Good to know. Good to know that she does that. I probably did know that. Oh, good. Good, Deb. Okay. So friend me and send me a note real quick just to remind me that, and then I'll send when we do that. I'll give you the information you need. Yeah, Anna, she's just a little pup, but I'm so glad we're almost out of puppy stage. I didn't want a pup when I got her. I wanted one that was just out of puppy stage because I don't have the time or the energy for the puppiness. And I went through that twice already with 2 other dogs. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get one that's just a little bit older. You know, I was looking, 4, 5, 6-ish is what I was thinking. But, you can't say no when a dog needs help. And she was just down the road from me and needed a home and had to get out of the situation really quickly. So I was just going to foster her for a little bit. And I wasn't sure if she was going to work with the cats, because I have several cats upstairs. And I wanted to make sure she worked with the cats and that the cats worked with her. And I knew the cats would work with her. It's more the energy of her. And she's still got a lot of energy, but the cats put up with her. You guys have seen me. They're like, she comes at them with her mouth wide open, and she's so much taller than them. She comes at them with her mouth wide open. So like, this is the cat and this is her, and she's coming at them like this, and they just go, oh, and they stick their head back, and then they go to the side, and then after about a minute of putting up with it, what happened? And then she looks at me and I'm like, well, you pushed it. I'd do the same thing if I saw something coming at me like that, and she doesn't stop. She doesn't hurt them, but she just comes at them with her mouth wide open and then just kind of does this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure the dog breath ain't helping any. So. Oh my gosh. Yep. So she's got her little chew. We've got these really hard chew toys. They're the resin stuff. not enough. I have to really watch her because she'll have them for even a couple of minutes and they're just mauled and they've got all these sharp edges and she can pull pieces of it off. She'll chew enough where pieces come off. She spits them out. Thankfully, at first I wasn't certain. So at least now I know she can have them while I'm here, but I have to really watch that it doesn't get super chewed up because she gets in there and she won't stop and then she starts bleeding. She gets her gums in there and it feels so good, but yet she'll leave pools of like spit with a little bit of blood in it. I'm sorry, that's a little TMI, but I've got an old blanket and just stuff that I let them lay on. And that's how I notice it. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're done. You're done. We got to stop. And then I got to go and try and file it off and get it all off so she can have it some more. But I can't find anything that she can't chew up. Not having any luck. So yeah, she's definitely, they say for those bark boxes and all those that you can get for your heavy chewer. Oh, she's beyond the heavy chewer. I'm like, can't imagine there's not more like her out there. So still looking. She does real good with like the bone because I bought one of those for her and she's gone through a good part of it, but it's lasted, I think I've had it almost a year now. And you can see where her teeth have gone down it, but she's not getting chunks off of it. And it was a bone specifically for dogs. So I don't know what they did, but I'm like, there we go. But she doesn't really prefer it. She likes these better. She goes to the bone periodically, but it's not her favorite thing. Oh, Anna, I know, I'm there. And I'm a huge cat person. I like dogs, don't get me wrong. I love dogs, but my first go-to is the cats and always has been. So I would have a bajillion cats if I could. They find me. They find me. I've got ferals that I take care of. I've got the ones upstairs are cast-offs that I know I'm not going to find a home for. There's just no way. So, and if I didn't keep them and left them out, they wouldn't survive. And then Bear, I think I've got a home for him if I choose to give him up. But he's so sweet. I'm having a real hard time. I mean, I've never had a cat so chill as him. He is just so easy. He gets into nothing. He is the perfect studio cat. He gets into nothing. He doesn't try and get into my sewing machine while I'm sewing. He doesn't anything. He just goes to like 2 or 3 places and he's happy the whole time. So yeah, I having a hard time. And then he chirps. I come down here and work during the day for my day job sometimes. And just to get a change of scenery, so I'll work upstairs sometimes and then I'll come down here and work. And I've got some of my monitors down here that I use. And after I feed him and he's done whatever cats do after they eat, bath, that kind of thing, he'll run around, chirp, 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 bloop, 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 bloop. And it is just the sweetest sound. He's running around just kind of playing and checking things out and looking outside. And he's just so happy. And it just warms my heart to listen to him. And I've only had one other cat that chirped. And I don't have her anymore, and I miss her desperately. Oh, I loved that chirping. She'd start playing, and she'd be chirping, and she'd be throwing stuff up in the air. And I called her my tiny dancer, because she was real petite. And she would, when she'd play, she'd get the mouse and stand up on 2 legs and kind of just, and then do these little dance moves. So she was so sweet. All right, guys. I am going to probably call this a night. Had a lot of fun with you guys. I don't remember what my next one is. I have to go look at my book, and that's upstairs, as always. Next Sunday is just my regular live hangout. We'll do what we do. I don't know. Gabby will be coming back soon. I know she's saying very, 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 very soon. She's coming, and it's just, I know she's still dealing with the house stuff. She had a lot this weekend. They had to do house-wise ripping out and all that, but she misses you guys. She is so ready to come back, and I'm thinking in the next week or so. So when she announces, let's all go put our arms around her and just love on her, guys. She misses you guys so much. She misses everything and can't wait to come back. So if she doesn't go live this week with the sew along, Then the next one is a week from tomorrow will be Amber. And she'll have the next one at her usual time. But then my live is next Sunday night. Again, 6:30, just hanging out and doing whatever I'm doing at that moment, like we did last weekend. So love you guys. And glad we have these Sunday nights together. And we'll be meeting each other in person real soon on Zoom. So look forward to it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.